So you're gonna tell me that you don't have no black cats, no Roman candles, or screaming mimes?
No.
Oh, come on, man. You don't got no lady fingers, buzz buttles, snicker bombs, church burners, finger blasters, gut busters, zippity doo-dahs, or crap flappers?
No, I don't.
No spleen splitters, whisker biscuits, honky lighters, hoosker do's, hoosker don'ts, cherry bombs, nips and dazers, with or without the scooter stick, or one single whistling kitty chaser?
No.
And now, it's time for another episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. A show made by 12s from around the world, for 12s around the world. I'm Mosette, and here's your host and my dad, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Mosette, and welcome, one and all, to episode 506 of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show as we discuss the Seahawk happenings over the last couple of weeks. Because America. All right, let's meet the posse for this episode. First, the yin to my yang, the peanut butter to my jelly, the sparkler of our group. It is Matt from merry old England. Hi, Matt.
Good morning, Moses. How are you?
Wonderful, Matt. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful too, and I'm absolutely not celebrating Bastille Day.
Did you say Bastille Day?
I did.
Oh, he said Bastille Day, which is the time that we are doing this recording. Oh, sacre bleu.
Astonishing.
French fries
Yes.
on the French toast. Is that enough for you, Matt?
It's plenty. It's amazing, really. They're celebrating it. They're celebrating the only day when the French won. Normally, they're too busy retreating.
Okay, and if you have any comments, that is Matthew Moore.
in merry old England.
In merry old England. Care of the
Just put it on
show.
an envelope. It'll come to me. They all know me.
All right. Speaking of coming to him, next up is our news hound. It's 12-Man editorials.
That's a dodgy link.
No.
His 12-Man editorials can be found at SeahawksSound.com. He is the bottle rocket of information. He is our Shadowhawk, Will. Hi, Will.
Hi, Moses.
How are you?
Oh, better late than never. How are you?
Yes, better late than ever as well. After some technical difficulties last week, we were back bigger, faster, stronger than ever. And then, of course...
And louder.
And louder. Of course, the man that is the snakes of our fireworks. It's Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hey.
How are you, Dustin?
I'm good. I have to confess I have no idea what Bastille Day is. No clue.
You don't know it's they were celebrate Breen French. Oh, it's Bastille Day.
I don't think I've ever heard of it, to be
It's the
honest
day we
with
are
you.
recording.
Well, you wouldn't have done in that accent, to be fair.
Okay, sorry. Stop it! Suck it, blue. All right. We're recording on Bastille Day, by the way, in case you didn't know this first couple times. And real quick, before we start, Matt, I do have a question for you from the audience, from Mrs. Moses.
Yes.
Mrs. Moses said, hey, will you ask Matt to please video himself doing Zumba so that we can see it? And I want to see that as well. Would you do that for us?
Can I just tell I know we haven't really got the time for this, but you know what? Sod it. I always thought that Zumba was just a bunch of very old, sort of middle-aged women bouncing around in poorly fitting sort of lycra showing camel toe, right? That's what I thought it was.
But there's men doing it too.
No, well, there's only me, but then I don't care. But they're all bouncing around, and I went there and I thought this is going to be really easy because let's face it, like middle-aged old women are not going to be very athletic. I couldn't be more wrong. These people are killing me. They're killing me, Moses. We do a full hour set of like 15 different things, and they're swinging their arms and legs about like they're having some sort of stroke. It's a nightmare, man.
Wow.
It's a nightmare.
And it's not the first time you've been wrong about the females.
I tell you, mate, I am sweating harder than a Trump Jr. in a Russian embassy right now. I tell you, it's shocking.
Oh.
Good grief. Well, it's been a while since we've been together. We're excited to do a show.
Excited.
Yeah.
I like
we're
that Matt said a Trump Jr. like there's several Trump Juniors.
You don't know. I think they're clones. I think they've all got clones, and they all come from that. They take one piece of his hair and clone it, and then out
Stepford
pops
Sons.
another one.
Would be
Oh, wow.
surprised.
Begun the Clone War.
Which is why none of them look alike because his hair's false.
Nice.
All right. For those of you who are still listening to the show, it's time
Go
to say
and find
what's
something better to do. Honestly,
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
what's wrong
Yeah,
with you
really.
people?
But if you're interested in what the show is going to do, besides talk about that, we have our friend Michael Bolden. Michael Bolden.
Boys, let's get to it.
Yes, let's get to it. This show is broken into 4 quarters and halftime. Quarter 1 is news with Will, and a special news bazaar this evening, by the way. Quarter 2, we're going to review the 8 Seahawks that made the NFL Network Player Top 100 of this last season, and then we're going to tell our own top 3 Seahawk players from this last season. At halftime, of course, the best Seahawk-themed trivia game on the internet. It's 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia
Of the world.
Of the world.
And Dustin has won 4 of the first 5 this season.
Off season doesn't count.
Yeah. He'll say it until he wins tonight.
Totally counts.
Yeah. Quarter 3, I'm going to talk about our trip to the NFL Hall of Fame. Last week we went to the NFL Hall of Fame, and it was the first time I've been there since '95 when Largent was inducted, so it changed a lot for me and kind of give you a Seahawk fan's view of what the NFL Hall of Fame has. And the fourth quarter, we're going to play another game. That's right, 2 games in this episode. Fourth quarter is a new game called Team or No Team. So get to see how the guys do on that. But before we start, please like, share, subscribe to Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Join us on our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Twitter at Seahawk Positivity. There's our email. All right, let's get to the first quarter and the 12-Man Fan Jam News Report. Yes, news of the NFL and other places while you were out buying more bottle rockets to scare the neighbor's dogs. It's our Shadowhawk Will with the news. Will, what you got for us?
Well, Moses, my first news item covers former Dolphins and current Buccaneers cornerback Brent Grimes, and more germanely, his wife Nico, who has been a subject of our news reports before. Let me just give you a quick refresher as to why. A couple of her tweets. In response to a trio of Miami reporters, she once tweeted, "The triple A's, Armando, Andrew, and Adam. F all 3, y'all, with Magic Johnson's dick."
Yikes!
I like the creativity.
She also tweeted. She also tweeted several things about Ryan Tannehill. How many people does Ryan Tannehill have to get fired before you realize he's the problem? Y'all do realize no legitimate coach will come here if he's our QB, right? We're screwed as long as he's under center. Just admit it.
Wow.
So, anyway, subsequent to these tweets, Brent Grimes was cut by the Miami Dolphins, and according to an interview she did with SI.com, Nico Grimes is saying that was the plan all along. People say I got him cut with my mouth. Duh, that was the goal. According to Miko, the Dolphins had told Brent he had to take a pay cut. If he declined, they would wait until other teams used up all their cap space and then release him. Miko was not going to let him retire, not going to let him get cut, apparently. Apparently, she decided that she was going to go as wild as possible on social media, and Brent Grimes apparently said, go for it. Miko says, I got his full permission to be as disrespectful to the Dolphins as I wanted to be, and I threw in Tannehill because I don't like him or his wife.
Oh my god, or his dog. Or his guinea pig. Or
Yes.
How much salt do you want to throw out there? Jeez.
Oh my god.
So yeah, pray you never get on Miko Grimes' bad side.
No doubt. She go Rick Grimes on you.
Oof.
Yeah.
Coral.
I felt like there was a lot of teeth sucking going on whilst all that was happening, you know? There's a lot of that. There's a lot of this happening. Oof.
Man, that's brutal.
Salty.
Yeah, some
And then
brutal
to say,
stuff.
yeah,
there.
go for it. You know, hey, go ahead and make fun of the team that hired me for millions of dollars to play a kid's game. You know.
Yeah, well, consider the source on this one. I gotta.
Yeah.
This may be fake news. Color me skeptical.
Alternative facts. Mm.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad. That was sad and a little embarrassing for an NFL player, I would think. Wait,
Oh, we've done more. You know, like Johnny Manziel. You're just going to say that sentence, and all of a sudden it's less embarrassing. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
it's not even top 10, Moses.
No.
I mean, let's
Yeah,
be
you're
honest.
right. You're right. Well, let's stay away from Miko. Miko, if you're listening right now, you know, we love you.
Love you.
And thanks for getting your husband
Please
cut.
don't hurt us.
Yeah, don't hurt us. We love you. And
Love you.
you know, if Tannehill's listening, we love you too. All right. What's your second story?
Well, this is actually one I planned to do last week, and it was so awesome I just had to hang on to it.
Oh yeah.
It also involves Twitter, but in a really cool fashion. This is actually the Panthers' official Twitter account. The morning of Friday, July 7th, the Panthers' Twitter account wrote, "Now go back and read the first word of our tweets from the last 3 days."
Mhm.
It turns out if you read the first word of every Panthers tweet from the 7th, 6th, and 5th in reverse chronological order, you come up with this. Now, this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute to sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
No way.
Amazing.
And
No.
if you look at those
Freaking
tweets, yep, they did it.
Oh, that's funny.
That's pretty cool.
That's social media gold, that is. Social
That
media
is.
gold.
I
That
like
is.
them for this moment.
Well, you can like the guy, whoever runs the Panthers Twitter account, and still not like the Panthers.
Yeah.
True. That's what I'm going to do.
There it is.
This is the Panthers Twitter account, ladies and gentlemen.
Story all about how my life got turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
Bel Air.
Okay, questions.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah, he's from Philly. Why would the Panthers even care?
Maybe the dude was from West Philadelphia, born and raised. On the playground is where he spent most of his days.
Chilling out,
Twitter guy.
maxing, relaxing, all cool, and shooting some
Yeah.
b-ball outside of the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Until a couple of guys that were up to no good started making trouble in his neighborhood.
He got in one little fight, and his mom got
Jesus.
scared and said,
Stop
"We're moving to Carolina and doing the Panthers Twitter account."
Moses, you've totally lost control of the show
I've
now, I'm
lost
just saying.
I know.
You ever had it?
Practice. I've lost complete control. Well, that's just weird that they would do the. That's just. They must be
Oh,
really
not
bored.
really.
in
I've got no
off-season.
Super Bowls to talk about, have
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh!
Wait.
Oh! Ouch! Oh, that was wicked. Oh man, those were great stories, Will. Thank you for starting the show off with those wonderful stories about Twitter.
Yo ho, smell you later.
Yeah. And while those are great stories, you know, I happen to have seen another non-football story I think is worth mentioning. So it's time for our first season 5 edition of the News Bazaar.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
All right, from ABC News. So it's a, well, in my opinion, a reputable news source. This was July 5th, I believe. Maine State Police say they arrested the driver of a stolen vehicle after a 50-mile chase on Tuesday, who identified himself as Santa Claus. Police said the chase started in Clinton after they tried to pull the driver over for a traffic violation. The chase reached 112 miles an hour before spike strips were deployed in Newburgh, Maine, about 30 miles away. Christos Casaras of Goffstown, New Hampshire, drove on busted tires another 15 miles before troopers caught and arrested him. It wasn't immediately known if Santa Claus had a lawyer. A woman who identified herself as his mother said she hadn't spoken to him and had no comment, and Santa Claus was at the time jailed on stolen vehicle and criminal speed charges. So, I thought this News Bazaar story was so great that it's time for us to have our first edition this season of our favorite show, or at least, well, maybe my favorite. It's time to CSI the News. If you've never been here for CSI the News, here's how this works. We take an article from we take a sentence, and then we put our own punchline to it, and when you add this scream at the end, it is so much better, just like in CSI. Let me give you an example. Will, how was your week gone? What have you done this week, Will?
I have had a very frantic week at work.
Okay, so see, that really just kind of there. But if I ask him again, and he can answer the same way, Will, how was your week this week?
I've had a pretty frantic week at work.
Yeah!
Powerful. It's rich.
Feel it!
Now,
All right.
when talking about my week, it really doesn't work, but this should work.
This should work. So,
The music is like the mic drop.
yeah, basically, exactly. The CSI News article sentence is: Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week. So I'll say that, and then you all do your CSI News. Does everybody have their CSI News ready? Teachers
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
I just hope all the listeners are aware that the actual music is probably going to be better than any of our
Yes,
sentences,
well, that's
as long
why
as
we do
everyone's-
it. See.
Well,
long
that
as
goes
everyone
without
knows that.
saying.
All right, we'll start with Dustin. Dustin, I'm going to say the line. You say your punchline. Ready?
Okay.
Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week.
Looks like Grandma finally got justice.
That was awesome.
That's because she was run over by a reindeer.
Yes,
you're wondering.
yes,
Yeah.
oh yes. Will?
Yes.
Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week.
He sees you at arraignment. He knows that you've made bail.
Shit. Sorry. Start over. Take two. Sorry, Will. I thought you were done. Here we go.
No.
Try again. Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week.
He sees you at arraignment. He knows if you've made bail.
Damn, that was good, and I screwed it up for you. I'm sorry. Matt!
Yes?
Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week.
Santa got slayed on main stage.
Okay,
I got
a
one
couple.
more, too. Yeah, I got
You got
one
one
too.
more? Okay, I'll
Yep.
do one, and then you do one, and I got a couple. Okay, mine's this. One of mine is this. Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week. Looks like Santa's going to be on the naughty list this year.
Nice.
It was just kind of there, you know. Okay,
Hey, Moses,
ready?
I've got one after Dustin, too.
Okay, Dustin, Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week.
Somewhere the Grinch is smiling.
Will, Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle. Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week.
His cellmate is already leaving out the milk and cookies.
Oh. Amazing.
Woo! I got two more. And then Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week. Blitzen was also taken in for possible domestic violence.
Sad, really.
Name like Blitzen, you know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I think, Santa Claus was arrested in Maine for stealing a vehicle last week. In a related story, Mrs. Claus was taken in for prostitution charges in Vermont. He ain't the only one coming once a year. All right.
Oh, dear.
That's the end of the first quarter.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
God, if you're still with us. Coming up on this
God
episode
help
of
you.
12 Minute Fan Jam Show, we're going to actually talk Seahawks football. Lots of show left. I give you a personal Seahawk-themed tour of the NFL Hall of Fame. But first, we discuss the 2016 NFL top players of 2016. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Straight up now, shoot me.
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
Yes, and welcome to the second quarter of episode 506 of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Buy one quarter, get 3 more and a halftime completely free. You're welcome. Hey, we're going to talk about our top 3 Seahawk players in this quarter. So I figured, why not start it off with a top 3? That's right. A top 3 fresh off of our office located in a fireworks tent near you. And since the 4th of July was now over a week ago, so it would have been funnier last week if we had actually internet, but we'll go on with it.
Oh, yeah, hey, guys, this is a 4th of July show, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, it's kind of a 4th of July. Well, it's the 4th of July, but it's also Bastille Day.
Yeah.
Happy treason. See, it's all about treason.
Oh!
I have to
treason
be honest.
day.
We're
When
feeling
the
very
show
revolutionary.
I have to be honest, when the show started and you were calling us these different types of fireworks, it's like, is this a Katy Perry theme thing? Is that the music in the background? I had no idea what was going on.
Well, here's the deal.
You're going to hear him roar, Dustin.
If your house is like mine, they're still setting off fireworks everywhere around you because they're on sale. And some of the fireworks are not that good. So from our office located in a fireworks tent near you come the top 3 worst NFL-themed fireworks this season. So the top 3 worst NFL-themed fireworks this season. Number 3 are the Cleveland Brown Bottle Rockets. Here's the story. They look good, but they only get about a foot off the ground before crashing to earth with a quiet thud. So they're not very good. Number 2 are the Chicago Bears front office firecrackers. They are the first imploding firecrackers on the market, and they just keep imploding. And the number one worst themed NFL firework this year is the Jason Pierre-Paul firecrackers. The shortest and fastest of the Swicks on the market. Buy one, get a couple off at no charge.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He was holding firecrackers. I don't have a lot of pity. All right.
Well, he'd give you the finger for that if he could.
Well, they're detached, so you can probably mail it.
Mail it to you. Oh, God. All right. So, well, listen, since 2011, the NFL Network has reached out to over 900 NFL players and asked them to come up with the top 100 players in the NFL. This is all players, and I like that because I think it shows the respect that the players have for each other, which is great. So this season, our Seahawks set a team record. They had 8 players in the top 100. That's pretty amazing. Really, when you think about it, because if you take the top 3 off of all 32 teams, you have 96 players. So they're saying 8 of our players are top 3.
Do you do maths at school?
Yeah, I do.
You're amazing.
How about that? And those you calculators, you take 3 times
Right.
32, 6, 9. Okay.
Carry the 1.
So here they are. Doug Baldwin came in at 88. Cliff Averill was 56. Michael Bennett at 46. Bobby Wagner at 39. Cam at 34. Earl Thomas at 30. Russell Wilson at 24. And Richard at 21. So if you take those and you go from 8 to 1, you'd have Baldwin at 8, Averill at 7, Bennett at 6, Wagner at 5, Chancellor at 4, Thomas at 3, Russell at 2, and Sherman at 1, which means to them, the top 3 Seahawks of the year, according to the rest of the NFL, was Earl Thomas at 3, Russell Wilson at 2, and Richard Sherman at 1. It's pretty good. But I think some of us may agree or disagree with that watch the Seahawks a little bit more closely than some of those players, even though obviously those players know what they're doing. So, Will, what are your top 3 Seahawks from last season?
Well, Moses, I'm actually going to take a slightly different take on that. I'm going to pick 3 players who were rookies last season who I think need to be top 3 players for Seattle to get back to where we all want to go.
All right.
My first one, my number 3 is Jaron Reed.
Yes.
Because he needs to come into his own to... I think his floor is to be another Brandon Mebane, and we need that force in the middle of the defensive line. If he can develop at all as a pass rusher, that's going to be a bonus. So that's big for him. Number 2 is CJ Procise. If this guy can stay healthy, he is the weapon that Percy Harvin should have been if he hadn't gone insane. I mean, we saw what Procise was capable of, and I think he could do even more this year if he stays healthy. And number 1, George Fant. If he can even develop into a solid left tackle with his background and with our other needs and everything we need on the line, that's going to be huge. Getting somebody to protect Wilson's blind side. So pulling for all 3 of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well done. What about you, Dustin? What was your top 3 Seahawks from last season?
Again, kind of the same approach Will was taking. It wasn't necessarily top 3 performance-wise, but the way I looked at it was the top 3 Seahawks I enjoyed the most or look forward to the most in the future.
All right.
Number 1, Bobby Wagner. The dude was all over the place making plays. Had like 86 solo tackles, 82 assisted tackles, 4.5 sacks. And I like that they used him a lot more in blitzing packages. The dude was a monster last year.
Yeah.
Number 2, like Will, CJ Procise. I think that kid, if he stays healthy, he's going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to what he does when he's healthy, if he can stay healthy. Because, man, he's pretty special out there. And being a wide receiver also in college, I mean, the hands that he has are amazing. 4 of his 6 games, he didn't have a drop when they threw the ball to him. Caught 100% of the passes thrown to him. So that's pretty impressive.
That's
and
nice.
Then the number 1, this is kind of way out there in a way.
You didn't say Rick Meyer, did you?
No, I did not say Rick Meyer. But this guy did not play for the Seahawks last year, but he made a huge accomplishment, which I thought is amazing. Kenny Easley, going to the Hall of Fame. That was pretty awesome. A huge moment. So good for him.
Well deserved.
Absolutely. Well deserved, and we'll be talking more about that next week, I have a feeling. But yeah, well deserved. Matt, what about your top 3? What did you do?
Not playing this game? No, Moses, no. So you see, to be a top 100 player, you just need to not get arrested for drugs offences, not get caught beating a girlfriend. You don't have to drive a car drunk or refuse to stand for a national anthem. So it's just too easy. It's too easy to pick players, to be frankly honest.
Mhm.
So I did pick players.
Are there actually 100 players out there that would hit that?
They're just not been caught.
Okay.
They're just not been caught. They're all there. I mean, most of them are probably in.
You're not picking your favorite players. You're just ruling out players at this
I'm
point.
just saying all of them. All of them. No, it's too easy for players. No. I'm
Wait
going
a
to go
minute.
for the.
This comes from the dude that put like Kenny Easley on his top 3 list. Now, come on.
How many of your players made it to the Hall of Fame that you picked?
Well played.
Indeed. Ouch. The air's got salty again. So it feels a bit. No, so I didn't pick players because, quite frankly, I just went for top Seahawks. So I decided to go organisational wide. So straight away, I've gone for my first pick is Drew Blay. Now, you may not know Drew, but Drew is the assistant equipment manager. And whilst I have absolutely no proof, I do happen to have an email from some guy in Moscow that's telling me that Drew was the equipment manager that prevented the New England Patriots from tampering with balls. So, Drew, you're one of my top 3, right? First and foremost. Secondly, right, Melanie Hishana. Now, you may not know Melanie, right, but Melanie is the Pro Shop manager. And I would like to thank Melanie for charging the highest prices for Seahawks merchandise anywhere on the planet. And Melanie managed, and this is no mean feat, gentlemen, I'm telling you now, Melanie managed to make me spend $1,275 on shit that I didn't even know I needed.
Always compete.
And she left me so poor, right, so poor. I had to fly economy home. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Horror.
People.
No. The horror.
That's bullshit.
I tell you, I was bad. And my third player, and you're not going to know these people. You're not going to know these people, but I'm going to tell you, Rudy McLean, right, who's a cook for the Seahawks, right? Now, whilst I have absolutely no idea if this is true, but we now live in a world where truth doesn't matter, it's all alternative facts. But I believe that Rudy cooked the best goddamn burger and fries I have ever had in a football stadium.
Nice.
So I want to say thank you, Rudy, and I also want to say all of these overpaid players, apart from Eddie Lacy, obviously, who's not eating burgers now and doing lots of running, but to all of these, overpaid players and everything, thank you all to the backroom guys and girls at the Seahawks organisation that make game day so special for all of us lot. So thank you. You're in my top 3.
Amen. The kids loved it. Yes. For all of you who do what you do, thank you.
This bug's for you.
Because
wow.
Melanie makes me poor, and I don't like her.
I don't even want to give my top 3 now because I'm the only one that did what I asked.
That's the case.
That.
Sorry, Moses.
Top 3 Seahawks in 2016. Okay, Kenny Easley. No. All right.
Walter Jones.
All right,
Steve
mine's so boring now.
Water just came out my nose.
So here's what I did, guys. I asked you to come up with your top 3 players for this year, so I actually did that. So mine's unique.
Your first
because
mistake.
I followed it.
That's your bad.
But what I took was the top 3 I thought most valuable players of the season. And that is very hard because, to be honest, those 8 guys that are top 100, that was agonizing to look at that top 3 and look at those 8 guys and only pick 3. And then guys like Jimmy Graham, who finished, I think, at 110 or 115. That's another guy. I mean, so many guys to choose from on this team as far as value. But I picked what I thought were the 3 most valuable players from last year. The 3 guys that just we had to have on the field last year. And number 3 was Michael Bennett. A guy, it's hard. Cliff Aver had a great year. Yes, he did. And all these guys, Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman. Yes, they are great guys. But it just seems to me like Michael Bennett out there, the defense is just different when he's out there. They're just different. And he can go anywhere. He can come from any place at any time. And I put him at number 3 because I just thought, wow, without him, what would we be like? And at number 2, I know this is weird because he had a quote-unquote off year. But if we didn't have Russell Wilson on this team, would we have even made the playoffs? Would we even be 500? With with the line that we had, as bad as they were, the running game as disappointing as it was, and having our quarterback, and what we found out about Russell Wilson this year was how tough he is, not just mentally but physically, because he was beat up and he continued to play, and that to me was something we luckily hadn't had to see and hope we won't have to see again. But Russell Wilson to me was number 2 just because of the sheer guts of the guy. And Number 1 was the guy I thought should have got Defensive Player of the Year, or at least a lot closer look than he did, and that was Bobby Wagner, like you said.
Agreed.
Just an amazing year. What, he had like 500 tackles or something ridiculous. I think he led the league.
And that was only in the first quarter of the season.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, really. Just an incredible year from Bobby. It seemed like every time Bobby blitzed, which it wasn't often, every time he did, he disrupted whatever was going on. Yeah. And he's just amazing. We're so lucky. That draft, we came out with Russell Wilson, and then we came out with Russell Wilson and Bobby Wagner in that same draft. We got the leaders on both sides of the ball for years to come, and exceptional guys at those very important positions, quarterback and middle linebacker. And so I put Bobby at number 1. So I kind of brought the whole group down because I actually talked about the top 3, but that's my top 3. What's your top 3 Seahawks of 2016, or what's your top 3 Seahawk whatever, moments or whatever from this season? Let us know on a 12-Man Fan Jam Show Facebook page. Comment on this video, email us, Twitter us, whatever you want to do. Hey, look, it's halftime.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
Coming up, a lot more show. What's the NFL Hall of Fame like? Did they really name teams that? Can I send Santa Claus bail money? Yes. All these answers and more just around the corner. But first, it's another edition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. Coming up next!
Hi, I'm Rosette, and you're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. And here's your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, me, and welcome to another fine edition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia
of the world.
The trivia game that tests the knowledge of both our posse and our listeners. Our contestants are the posse themselves, Will, Matt, and Dustin, and here are the rules.
So here's how the trivia game works. There'll be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there'll be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tie players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12-Man Fan Jam Show Trivia Champion and also gets a prize chosen especially for them. As an added bonus to those listening on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well. If you do, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline. Before taping this show, my 2 charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take the quiz as well. If the contestants want to know what the kids said, they can ask that but once and only once during the entire game show and only in the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia.
All right, gentlemen, you know the rules. No Googling. Dustin. No calling a friend.
Why would you Google Dustin? That's not even going to be a question.
I'm just saying.
You don't know that.
Dustin has won 4 of the last 5. So Dustin gets to pick 1, 2, or 3.
3.
Dustin picks 3. Will, 1 or 2?
1.
And that means, of course, Matt
Oh.
gets number 2. The topic this round is the NFL Top 100.
I did not watch that.
I did not do this one. I did.
The NFL
It's not good.
Top 100.
Yeah.
All right.
I know
here we go.
JJ Watt was mad.
All right. Will is your first question. And there's one question that does not have anything to do with the top 100, so maybe you'll get that. All right. Will, yours is not. Here you go. My question is, actually, I said 2011, but 2010 was when the NFL Top 100 actually started on NFL Network, was 2010. How many Seahawk players were in the top 100 in 2010? Was it 0, 1, or 2? Dance! How many Seahawk players in the top 100 in 2010? 0, 1, or 2?
Well, since the show aired in 2010.
It was for the 2010 season. It actually started in 2011, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, yeah, if it was 2010, that'd mean it would cover the 09 season. That's not good.
Not good.
I'm still going to go with 0.
Still going to go 0. Well, Little Mo said 0. Mosette said 1. You said 0. Yeah, none.
Gosh.
No players in the top 100 for Seattle.
Was Walter Jones retired at that time?
No.
Yes.
I don't.
Yes.
Oh, but yeah, I guess
Yes.
it was. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. 2009, I think, right?
Who was our kicker? Was that Linda Murray or was it Hauschka at that point? I can't.
No,
think.
that was Murray in 2010.
Yeah.
So, he was the only person scoring.
Pete's first year, right?
Yeah.
What was
but
that,
he was
Dustin?
That's Pete's first year, right?
Yep, and Matt Hasselbeck's
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Matt.
Yes.
This is also a top 100 question.
Okay.
To date, including the most recent NFL Top 100, who is the highest rated Seahawk player ever? Was it Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, or Russell Wilson? Who's the highest rated Seahawk player ever in the NFL Top 100? Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, or Russell Wilson?
Well, I don't think it's going to be Lynch, although the players, because this is all voted by the players, isn't it?
Yes.
The players love Lynch.
They
They
do.
don't really like Sherman. And Russell, they always seem to underestimate him. But then Beast Mode would have been 10. I'll go with Marshawn Lynch.
He's going to Marshawn Lynch. After quite a lot
Well,
of
because I just think that he's the
intermonology.
player's favourite out of the 3.
Marshawn Lynch. Well, Little Mo said Richard Sherman, and Mosette said Russell Wilson, and you said Lynch. No, I'm sorry. It was Richard Sherman.
Really?
Marshawn at 14 in 2014. Richard hit to top 10. The only Seahawk to do so.
That's what I thought.
He hit 7 in
tip.
2014, and then Wilson was 17 in 2016. So,
Yeah.
all right. Dustin.
See, that's what happens when you put logic into things. You see, don't put logic
Yeah,
into
see?
this game.
There you go.
Stupid idea.
Yeah, don't do it.
Dustin, put the Google down. Here you go.
Oh, man.
Yours is actually not there anyway. So, this is from the Hall of Fame. I said we went to the Hall of Fame last week.
The Hall of Fame's not in Google?
Well, here's the thing. There is actually one piece of memorabilia in the Hall of Fame that was actually returned to the playing field after being on display at the NFL Hall of Fame. There's only one thing. What was this? Was it Brett Favre's athletic cup, Brett Favre's mouthpiece, or Brett Favre's thigh pads? Which piece of Hall of Fame memorabilia was returned to the playing field after being on display at the Hall of Fame? Was it Brett Favre's athletic cup, his mouthpiece, or his thigh pads?
I doubt he wore a cup, so I'm going to say no there. A lot of football players don't.
Why do you wear a cup? I don't know. That doesn't feel right.
I don't know. I'll say mouthpiece. Maybe he has a thing about mouthpiece.
Yeah, think about his mouthpiece.
Oh, please tell me it's
Well,
the cup.
I did not ask the kids because we talked about it on the way home, and you know, Little Mo would have he knew it because when I asked him, he goes, "Oh, I know the answer." I said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna let you do it." So you said mouthpiece.
Yeah.
So the kids don't have an answer, and no, it was actually his thigh pads when he retired from the
Really?
Packers. Yeah, when he was the first stint with the Jets, I believe.
Yep.
He went to the Jets, and he just did not like the way the thigh pads fit, so he called the Hall of Fame and said, "Hey, can I have my thigh pads from the jersey outfit I sent you guys?" And they're like, "Sure." So he wore them for the Jets, and then when he retired the second time, he sent them back, and he didn't ever get them back. So I guess the Vikings had better thigh pads. I don't know.
That is
But
so
yeah.
weird.
Yeah, the only piece of NFL memorabilia in the Hall of Fame that was returned onto the field after it was retired, which is weird.
They're all like universal. That's, for
Yeah.
the most
Well,
part. I thought it'd be
you
a
know.
custom piece.
You would
Weird.
think.
Okay. Yeah.
Brett Favre, what do you got? So, okay, Will's got a point. Dustin and Matt have nothing, which means Will gets to choose 4, 5, or 6.
4?
Dustin, 5 or 6.
6.
And Matt will be 5. Okay. Same topic, top 100. And Will, your question is this. In what year did the Seahawks have only defensive players in the top 100? No offensive players, only defensive players in the top 100. Would that be 2014, 2015, or 2016?
What were the options again? I'm sorry.
2014, 2015, 2016. The only year the Seahawks had only defensive players in the top 100, no offensive players.
So 2014 covers the 2013 season and so on?
No. That would be the top 100 of 2014, the top 100 of 2015, and the top 100 of 2016.
Okay. Well, I'm going to select whichever one covers the 2014 season. So
which would be 2014.
Okay.
Okay. Little Mo Mosette also said that. And you said that. It was 2015. They had only defensive players.
Huh.
Yeah, so it was like
I'd have
last
been wrong
year's.
as well.
Yeah. All right, Matt.
Yes.
All right. In 2013 top 100, the Seahawks placed the most offensive players they've ever had in the top 100. How many offensive players did they place in the 2013 top 100? How many offensive players did they place in the 2013 top 100? The most ever. Was it 3, 4, or 5?
Ooh. What do the kids say? Let's ask the kids because we need to use up the.
Little Mo said 3. Mosette said 4.
I'll
Nobody
go 3.
said 5. So he's
3.
going with Lil Mo.
Yeah. Lil Mo knows.
He's going with 3. It was 4. Unger, Harvin considered a Seahawk. Unger, Harvin, Wilson, and Lynch.
Who considered Harvin a Seahawk?
That was the year he was in. It was the Super Bowl year.
He didn't even fucking play. I mean, he didn't even play.
Yeah, he was considered. Listen, on the list, he's considered a Seahawk. It's on there. So
this is why I like my top 3 better than these players.
Yeah. Dustin, you can tie Matt or Will. You can tie Will.
Cool.
If you get this right. Unfortunately, it has nothing to do with football. So here you go.
Again? Okay.
It has to do with the top 100, though.
All right.
The Hot 100 from Billboard.
I'm going to say the Billboard charts.
Yep, and here it is. Who had the most Billboard top 10 hits in the history of the Hot 100? Is it the Beatles, Madonna, or Rihanna? Believe it or not, that's the top 3. Who has the most Billboard top 10 hits in the history of the Hot 100? The Beatles, Madonna, or Rihanna?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Longevity makes me want to say Madonna, but I'm going to go with Rihanna.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's Rihanna, I'm going to cry.
Rihanna. Little Mo and Mosette also went with Rihanna.
Because that's the only one of the 3 they know, probably.
Yeah, probably. You went with Rihanna.
Sad.
No, my daughter knows the Beatles. Madonna.
Oh, it is Madonna. Okay.
Madonna at 38, the Beatles at 34, and Rihanna at 31. Go figure that one.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
All right, guys. It is 1-0, which means the 2-point final question will give us a champion. It's time for the final question. All right, here we go. It is high or low, as always. The order will go Will, Dustin, and Matt. And, of course, whoever's closest without going over will get the 2 points. If everybody's over,
Surely
Will
must go last. Got more points.
Oh, it's the other way around. You're right. It would actually, instead of Will, Dustin, Matt, it goes Matt, Dustin, Will.
I don't know. I kind of like it either way.
Matt, Dustin,
sure.
Will is the order goes. It goes reverse.
I'm just going to give the answer 1 anyway, regardless of what he says, because everyone's going to outnumber me anyway. So I'm just going to go 1.
All right.
Go
Well,
on.
I'm bound to. I'm bound to be 1 over the total anyway. So.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Here's your question. How many times since 2010 have the Seahawks been represented in the top 100? How many different times have the Seahawks overall been represented in the top 100 since it started in 2010?
Oh, since it's okay, so each individual occasion that they've featured, you mean?
Yeah, so if one guy was on there 5 times,
okay.
that's 5. That counts 5. How many different times since 2010 have the Seahawks been represented in the
I
top
have
100?
no idea.
And we're looking at, what,
No
7
idea.
years of it? 7 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we? Oh yeah, because 2010. Okay. Well, I don't know. Let's just pretend. Let's just put some numbers down, do some averages here. So 2010. There we have 4. 7,
Keep dancing!
9,
Dance!
4, 6, 4, 1. We had a shit year that year. 8, 9,
Hey, you know what? What are you doing? I want video of her dancing. If you're listening, I know she dances to this. I would love to see her dance. That would be like so awesome. If you could just take a snapshot or whatever.
Who's dancing?
Huh?
Who's dancing?
I believe
Little girl.
It's Chris Balding's daughter, I believe. Is it not?
What? Yeah. Every time
so.
we put the music on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Chris, if you're listening, man, a snapshot or a little video, 5-second video. I want to see her dance to this. Back to the question. How many times have the Seahawks
that's
been
not
represented? Oh, my God. Represented at top 100 since the start of 2010. Come on.
You people are
Come
terrible.
on, man.
I have no idea because I have to say it's not something that I particularly follow very well. So I'm just going to say 28 times because I don't think we've been very
Just
well
to say,
represented.
what the hell? 28. Dustin, how many times have the Seahawks been represented at top 100 since the start of 2010?
I don't know. His guess makes me think I was way off. I was thinking in the 40s.
Don't go by my guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I'll say 42 times.
42. Will, how many times have the Seahawks been represented in the top 100 since it started in 2010?
I'll go 22.
22. All right. 28, 42, and 22.
Yeah, I think I went too high.
The actual number of Seahawks that have been represented, times the Seahawks have been represented in the top 100 since 2010 is 33!
Ah.
It don't mean anything. But guess who the champ is?
Okay, now it means something, right, Matt?
Yeah.
Well, just warming up now. See, it was just all just necessary.
Yeah,
to get all
now
back
it
to the
means
pump,
something, right?
Flowing. And...
Oh, it don't mean anything until you win. Congratulations, Matt.
Thank you very much.
That Zuba's paying off, man.
It totally means something, actually, to break Dustin's unbroken records. That means something.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
This always means something. It's always a lot of fun. It always means something. It's very important.
We're not competitive at all, people. Don't believe any of it. I just like to beat that short ass from Washington State. That's all.
Yeah, he's got a thing. I can't explain
my
it.
God.
He's got a thing.
Hey, this has been another crowd-pleasing, heart-stopping, award-winning edition of your 12-man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia.
Of the world.
We'll be back with the second half of the show after this quick station identification. Sex Pistols, take us to break.
Welcome to merry old England, packed full of castles, tea, crumpets, and Yorkshire pudding. I can't think of a single place in the world I would rather be right now.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Seahawks!
Holy shit, it's the third quarter.
All right, welcome to the third quarter of your 12-man Fan Jam Show. Hey, you! Yes, you wasting more money on fireworks because they're on sale. Like, share, and subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Join us in our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Do it now before you burn your crotch on a bottle rocket. And by the way, if you're going to send us a top three, I have a suggestion. I think it would be great to hear your top three posse members, either Will or Matt or Dustin. Put them in a top three order. Let's see where they rank.
You shoot your bottle rockets way different than I do.
Yeah, I did. I said before you.
Yeah,
do
Dennis,
that.
the term crotch rocket actually refers to a motorcycle, not fire.
Yeah, but way different, dude.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Well, okay. As I mentioned before, third quarter, I'm going to, I thought maybe it was a bit of a public service to those listening and watching the show who have never been to the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And believe me, that's all that's there. So, if you live in Seattle, that's quite a trip just to go to a Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, if you've never been, for me, it's about a 5-hour trip west or trip east. About 5 hours trip east. It's not too bad. So we decided to take Little Mo to the Hall of Fame, and I haven't been there since '95, so it's been a long time. So I thought, well, as a public service, I would share our trip in the Hall of Fame so you can kind of understand how the Seahawks are represented. So when we got to the building, outside there's a huge poster of the incoming class of 2017 plastered across the side of the building, and of course that included our Kenny Easley, who's becoming a member in a few weeks. So that was pretty cool.
When you walk in, the first exhibit is the only exhibit you cannot take pictures in. And that's because it is a bunch of old and classic expensive football cards that were donated. And so I don't have any videos of that or pictures.
Why? That's weird. Why can't you does taking pictures like damage it somehow?
I don't know. It was a request because it's a private collection. That if they, so.
I could see where if you have flashes going off, that could damage them over time.
Yeah. So
you think that's kind of specialized glass though too.
Well, she's like, this is the only place that the person who's donated cards requested no pictures for that section. It's the only section you can't take pictures. So I said that's cool. So but the pictures are, you're talking really obviously old football cards and some pretty valuable ones as well. Including all the Hall of Fame members that were represented by their rookie card, which is pretty cool.
That's a really smart move by that dude too, because he's got all that investment in it. You're like, man, I don't want to take care of this. I'll ruin it. Give them to the Hall of Fame. Let them maintain them. They're still mine.
Exactly. And
very
well
smart.
Taken care of. Yeah. And so that was pretty neat. And then you go up to the next floor. You go up a floor, and it kind of guides us through the decades of the NFL football. The Seahawks were represented pretty well. It showed when the organization, the 76 when they started, and in the middle of this floor there was a huge statue of Jim Thorpe, and it was pretty big statue of Jim Thorpe right in the middle, and everything you kind of go in a circular around him. And it was like they had like little videos of each decade of football, and it was kind of neat. You go up to the next floor, and the next floor was a lot more interactive. There was an actual replay booth, which was pretty awesome. Little Mo went in the replay booth, and what they did was they gave you a call from a real game, and you had to decide whether to reverse it or not. Then you had to make the call, and then they told you if you were right or not. And they gave you
make the call.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it was really neat. And
that'd be fun.
And I said, finally we're going to get a break because Little Mo's going under the hood, so I'm sure that he'll call it right, even though it wasn't our game. But so that was pretty cool.
Was it the Golden Tate to catch against Green Bay?
That would have been awesome.
It was between the Jets. I can't remember. It was the Jets and somebody, and it was it was the quarterback, and I want to say it was even Sanchez. Like it's that old, but it was like the tuck rule. Like he came down
after running into his offensive lineman's butt.
It was not the butt fumble.
Yeah.
But like he came forward and stopped, and then he fumbled. And I said, that's not a fumble. And Little Mo was like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, that's not a fumble. They ruled it a fumble on the field, but I said, no, that's not a fumble. And it was right. It was not a fumble because
of a dumb rule. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But it was not a fumble.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Then there were actual NFL shoulder pads that you could put on. That was funny. There was a football helmet that you put on. You could hear what the quarterbacks hear. And so Little Mo went over to put the helmet on. And he's like, ah! And he took it off. He said, no. I said, what's wrong? He goes, it's Jim Harbaugh's voice.
Nice.
So I'm like,
that's
all right,
awesome that he recognized it.
We'll move on. So after I stabilized him, we continued on the tour.
Stabilized him.
Yeah.
Sees fine support.
Yeah. We went up to another level, and there it was, all of the Hall of Fame busts in one room. A huge room, obviously.
Yeah.
And by year, each player that went in. I found Warren Moon's, and then I found Steve Largent's, which, like I said, was the last time I was in the Hall of Fame, was to see him get inducted. And when I went, they didn't have much Seahawk stuff. They have a lot more Seahawk stuff now. Walter Jones, and then, of course, Cortez. And it was quite a sight. You could go to the center and hit a highlight reel of any of the Hall of Fame players now or the existing ones. So I showed Little Mo, Kenny Easley. I showed him a couple of the other Seahawks, and he got a big kick out of that, I think. They also had in the center, they had a circle of Hall of Fame rings, rotating on glass. But if you went and touched them, they were a hologram, which you didn't know. Yeah, and you didn't know that until you went to touch them, and then they disappeared, and you're like, what the heck? And you're like, oh, it's just a hologram, because they looked really real. And I think they were the Hall of Fame rings for the guys coming in, if I'm not mistaken. Cool. So that was kind of neat.
That trick also worked in Jurassic Park, the new one that they had, so Jurassic World.
They had Hall
freaked
of Fame
the hell
rings.
out of that raptor. Yeah.
The next section was about individual player records. Russell Wilson had a couple jerseys in there.
His cleats too from that the game in
Buffalo. Well,
yeah,
Toronto,
Toronto, yeah.
In Toronto, right. First player to run for 3 touchdowns and pass for a touchdown in 1 half.
Mm-hmm.
That was up there. The next section was more about Super Bowl teams. There was a Lombardi Trophy in the center and a picture of every Super Bowl ring. They didn't have the Super Bowl ring, but they had a picture of it, what was on it, how many carats was on it. Some of these were just unreal, like 174 carats. Are you kidding me? I mean,
wow.
Yeah, just amazing. And I can't remember whose ring was the largest. I want to say New England's last one. I didn't take a picture of it, but some of them were just huge. I mean, just absolutely huge. And then you could make your own ring. Like you could put, your team for next year, what it might look like, and kind of design your own ring on a little interactive thing, which is kind of cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then, of course, they had Russell Wilson's jersey from Super Bowl 48. They had highlight, pictures from all the Super Bowls. They had Pete Carroll's jacket, but for some reason they had a sign that said it's been temporarily taken down. I don't know. I know they rotate things, so I don't know if they're in the process of rotating things for, for the Hall of Fame that's coming up in a couple weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
But I know they rotate things through. And actually, there was a lady that came out with some things, and that's where I heard about Brett Favre's thigh pads. She came out with some unusual pieces from the history, and that was pretty neat too. They ran a film of the previous Super Bowl, and I got to admit, I watched it. We sat in the theater, and of course it was like sound effects. They were all, and it was this huge theater, and it was kind of cool. I got to admit that game was pretty entertaining.
That'd be a cool way to watch it too.
It was.
Yep.
And I learned so much, and I haven't watched much about it, but I don't want to really. I don't know. Tom Brady. I'm sorry. He's Tom Brady, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that
at this
team
point, you gotta
different.
think he's the best, probably at this point.
That team looked different, down 28-3, than the Falcons looked when it was slipping away. You could just see it in all their eyes. And when they scored that first touchdown, they all go, "That's one. That's one." Like they're like, "Okay, we're fine." But they said, "What we're doing right now is no, this isn't fine. We're not. It's not working. We got to change it." And so they didn't panic, but they're like, "We got to do some different stuff." And so they changed it. And just to look in that team's eyes, as opposed to the Falcons watching it slip away, where they just look like a deer in the headlights. Like they couldn't do anything right, and they didn't know what to do. It was very interesting. Anyway, enough of that game. The next section was devoted to the upcoming Hall of Fame inductees. They had a locker set up for each player coming in. There was a game ball from Kenny Easley, and they had a locker set up. Kenny had a UCLA and a Seahawk helmet, his 45 jersey, some other fun stuff in there. So that was pretty cool. And then the gift shop, which was like basically heaven for any football fan. I had to get out of there in a hurry. I got a Little Mo got a T-shirt with all the inductees from the Seahawks on the back of it. I got Kenny Easley Seahawks shirt. I got a Bring the Noise, and I got a mug. It was on sale because it's a Seahawk Hall of Fame mug, but it only has Kennedy, Largent, and Jones on it. But it was like $5. I'm like, how could I not say yes to that?
Yeah, no doubt.
So I grabbed that. So it was like Seahawk heaven. He even got like a Seahawk fidget spinner, of course.
Oh, yeah, why not?
I know, right? So, but that was pretty much overall. It's a fun place to go. It was very reasonably priced. We got in for, I want to say $20, which I mean that's pretty good.
Worth it, yeah.
Yeah, and it took about 3 hours. I mean, of watching all the videos and taking your time and really admiring football. And it really was a great historical aspect from the 20s and up to now, and all these teams that have played. There was a list of every team that's ever played and the record for every season, which was interesting on one wall. It was really good. About 3 hours or more of time well spent. If you can get there, please do. It's worth a trip. Now, it's not something that you need to go to every year probably, but I'd say every few years it's good to go back. So. That was my trip.
Sorry, how much did you spend on that mug again?
On what?
On the mug.
$5, I think.
Yeah, see, Melanie, she doesn't just run the pro shop.
Nice. Matt, let it go.
Well, this was on the clearance aisle, so that's why I got it. But the T-shirts were a little bit more expensive. Oh, and then they had like behind them, as we were checking out, they had this like a poster or like a throw that you put on a wall. And it said, like, it had the Seahawks
thing on it and had like all the players that are in the Hall of Fame, and even had Easley on there. And I'm like, how much is that? And they're like $80. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not no, I don't need that for $80.
Good for you guys. Good for you.
Good for you.
You
That's awesome.
keep that. You keep that now.
So, if you're a Seahawk fan, the Seahawks are well represented at the Hall of Fame. It was a good trip. I highly recommend it. It is a nice place to visit. So that's pretty much all I've got about that. So,
hey, I got a question about the bust room you're talking about.
Yes.
Because obviously that expands every year. So do they like build a different room and move it to a different room every year, or expand on that room?
It goes on the outside, and right now it's coming around. Like it goes all the way to the outside of the room, and then it's coming around there's an inside wall. It's coming around the inside wall just now. So I would say they won't have to do anything for another 5 or 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Because they've done the whole outside, and then they brought it across, and then they brought But that's a good question.
I wonder about that with the Stanley Cup too. It's like sooner or later they're going to run out of space to put all those names.
Right?
It can't be the same Stanley Cup. I mean, the Seattle team won it in 1919. I mean, it's been around that long. So there's got to be more than one Stanley Cup. It's got to get a point. So. It's got to say to be continued at the bottom somewhere, right?
I would think so.
You've only got to worry when the room starts stretching into Pennsylvania. Then you've got a problem.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, and that particular room, Dustin, the room of all the busts was pretty awe-inspiring. I mean,
I can only imagine, man.
Yeah, it was pretty awe-inspiring. So anyway, that's our trip to the wonderful NFL Hall of Fame, and that is the third quarter.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
All right, coming up next, it's a new game for the posse called Team or No Team. Remember, you are listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Why? Why not? We'll be right back after this.
Hello everybody, this is Statsman Mark, and when I'm not listening to Charo's greatest hits on 8-track tape, I'm listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show.
Holy shit, it's the fourth quarter!
Oh yes, it is the fourth and final quarter of the episode.
Oh God.
Of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Happy Bastille Day! Ho ho ho! Croissant! Sacre bleu! Any other French thing I do not know, you can say whatever you want.
We surrender. We surrender.
All right.
We surrendered.
Hey,
nice.
It's time to play a new game called Team or No Team.
Okay.
All right, here's how you play. When I went to the Hall of Fame, there's, as I mentioned casually, there was a list of every professional football team that has ever played in the NFL or the professional league, so to speak, since way in the beginning, 19, maybe earlier, and some of the names were quite comical. So, what I decided to do was come up with a list of teams that actually existed and teams that didn't. And you have to tell me if the team name I give you was an actual team that played as a professional football franchise, or it's not a team. Okay.
I want to clarify one thing here.
Oh my
Are we
God.
counting the XFL?
I did not put the XFL in here.
Okay, because that was a professional league. Just checking. Okay.
Okay.
And can I just check as well? Are we counting the Cleveland Browns?
Yes, because they were good in the
Browns are not
distant
on
past.
the list.
Okay.
Does that help you feel better?
Yeah. What about the Buccaneers?
I cannot comment on that. Matt!
Okay, I'm just checking. Okay, carry on.
Here is
I'm
your
good.
Alright, so Buccaneers is an answer, guys.
I'm your Buccaneer. Right, go on then.
Was this a team
No.
or no team? The Oorang Indians. Oorang Indians.
Well, see, it's just enough.
O-O-R-A-N-G. Oorang Indians.
Oorang. That used to be a song, wasn't it?
Team or no team?
It's just racist enough for it to be a team. So I should say yes, it's a team.
I think Dan Snyder owned it.
Yeah.
All right, Matt.
You said the Oorang Indians was a real team because it was just racist enough sounding to be
Just
one, right?
racist enough to be real, yep.
Absolutely.
And the correct answer
Dan
is...
Snyder owns them, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a team. Actually played in 1922 and 1923. Jim Thorpe as captain, coach, and player on that team. Great Jim Thorpe.
Wasn't that the team where actually all of them were
yes,
Indians
they were
or
all
Native Americans?
Yes, sir. They were.
Oh,
Will.
wow.
So a point to Matt. Will.
Yes, sir.
The Dayton Triangles, team or no team? The Dayton Triangles.
I'm going to say team because why not?
Team because why not? Root for the Triangles. Yay! Yeah! That was team. 1920, the Dayton Triangles played in the National Football League or the Professional League, so to speak. All right, Dustin.
Yeah.
Your team is this, the Cleveland Steamers. The Cleveland Steamers. Team or no team?
Well, I'm going to pretend that I don't know what that is. And I'm going to say that since the first two were actual teams, this one probably not a team. I'll say no.
Okay, he's going to say
Please tell
no.
me it was. Please tell me it was.
Yes, no team.
Oh, no, yeah, right, okay.
And it's sad, if you don't know what we're talking about, go to the Urban Dictionary, look up Cleveland Steamer, and you can thank me
dude, go
later.
to Google Images.
No!
I'm doing it now.
No.
Doing it now, hold on.
All right, Matt,
Oh,
go
that's
ahead.
just not right.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Oh, you've
Cleveland
seen
Steamers,
worse.
Not a team, thank God. Matt!
Where's the cup? There's normally a cup. You got to do it in a cup, surely.
The form is all off.
Matt!
What, sorry, yes.
Your team name
Yes.
is the Orange Tornadoes. The Orange Tornadoes. Is that a team or not a team? The Orange Tornadoes.
Orange.
Insert Donald Trump joke here.
The Orange Tornadoes.
That team is huge.
Huge. I'm going to say no team.
He's going to say no team.
Because it makes too much sense. It's such an obviously good team name. So it can't possibly be... Can't be right.
I'm sorry. The Orange Tornadoes were a team in 1929, 1930.
Oh.
And I think Orange, Texas is where Earl Thomas is from, and it has to be the same Orange, but I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, Will, this is why I couldn't answer the Buccaneer question, because were the Los Angeles Buccaneers a team or not a team? The Los Angeles Buccaneers.
I'm going to go no team.
He's going to go no team on it. No, I'm sorry. The Los Angeles Buccaneers were actually a team in 1926. 1926.
I did not think they came that far west that early. Interesting.
They did. Well, but remember, this professional teams didn't necessarily play in a league. They were just a bunch of guys that got paid to play football. So they may have just played around with other, other guys, So
now you tell us.
Hello.
They're a professional
Thanks,
team because they got paid to play football. Like the Oorang Indians, I don't think they really played anybody. They just played a bunch of, high school teams or whatever. So, but if they were paid to play football, they were part of the National Football League because they're professional players.
Probably segregated teams that anyway weren't allowed to play.
I know. Huh. So, this is now Dustin, I believe, right?
Yes.
Dustin,
yeah,
your team is the Cincinnati Pigs. The Cincinnati Pigs. Is that a team or is that a no team?
Didn't Colin Kaepernick have their socks?
Yeah, that was the team logo. But no, I'm going to say no.
Well, in Cincinnati, there are the flying pigs. There are these 4 flying pig statues in Cincinnati. I don't know if you knew that.
I had no idea. I knew they had the dog pound and they have like the pig masks, which I thought was weird.
No, that's Cleveland. That's Cleveland, a dog pound.
What did you say?
Cincinnati.
Oh, I was thinking Cleveland, but whatever. Either way, I'm saying no. So
yeah.
The Cincinnati
the statues will take off if they actually win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, true. Exactly. Cincinnati Pigs. You said no team?
No team.
Yeah, you're right. They weren't a team. Cincinnati Reds were actually a football team. Weird.
Really?
Yeah. All right, Matt.
Yes.
Little known fact, they're also a baseball team.
Yeah. The Providence Steamrollers. The Providence Steamrollers. Team or no team?
Providence
Steamrollers.
Now again, you see that to me, it sounds like a sensible team name. So I'm sort of inclined to say no team because, unless it's something like the Shreveport slave traders, it's unlikely to probably be a real thing. But so I'll say no team because it's too sensible.
He's saying no team because it's too sensible. I should have said sensible.
You were so much more sensible back in the day, you Americans.
Providence Steamrollers were a team, and actually for 6 years, from 25 to 31. So it's pretty good. And then
I feel like Matt brought up a really good point with that. Are we allowed to ask what year this team potentially played in?
No.
Fine.
Because I said so. Will the Brooklyn Bridges, were the Brooklyn Bridges an actual team or a no team? The Brooklyn Bridges.
Please no.
Well, don't ask me. I wasn't around at the time. You said no?
Correct.
Yeah, they weren't a team.
That'd be amazing because you have the Orlando Disney Worlders. It would be amazing.
And finally, Dustin, who's 2 for 2, who's probably on Google right now, but we'll go anyway. Dustin, the St. Louis Gunners, team or no team?
How do you spell Gunners? I'm trying to look this up.
Use your letters.
F-U-C.
Oh,
Gunners.
you spell it way different in French.
Yeah, St. Louis kind of ball. Did you say French?
Yes.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, I'll say yeah.
Yeah, what the hell, right?
Yeah, why not?
You're 2 for 2, right? I mean, what the hell? Yeah, you're 3 for 3. 19-3. Dustin! Proud to say that Dustin did not win. He did not win
anything.
Anything.
I won the 12
I'm going to say no team.
Giveaway.
The Dustin
home
midgets.
prize.
I'm going to say no team.
But Dustin was able to win the first ever edition of Team or No Team.
That means
the
it's
first ever.
Congratulations, Dustin.
I was just thinking the same thing.
And you get absolutely nothing. Good day, sir.
Good day.
Team or no team.
No,
all right.
that means that's coming back, fellas. We've got to learn our teams now.
No. That's not coming back. All right. Wow. Well, this was worth the wait, wasn't it?
You backed me on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's have a debate about that, shall we?
Another great and wonderful, amazing 12-man Fan Jam show coming to a sad close. We are so glad you decided to waste some time with us, and we certainly hope you laughed a little and maybe you learned a little something along the way. What did we learn? Well, we learned that some players' wives love Twitter. We learned that some franchises love 80s and 90s sitcoms. We learned that Will loves Twitter news. Matt loves the Pro Shop. And Dustin loves Cleveland Steamers. So,
I don't think we learned that.
Everybody knew that.
Yeah, I mean, that's like old news, dude.
On behalf of my partner in crime, Matt, our news hound, Shadowhawk Will, Statsman Mark wherever he is, Dustin as the Beaver, Roger Goodell, Bosette, Little Mo, Santa Claus, Joe Dirt, Buddy Hackett, Sheila McRae, Art Carney. Good night, everybody. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Man, do not look Cleveland Steamer up on Google. Just don't do it.
There's no cup. You're supposed to have 2 girls in a cup.
I feel like that's a different thing. I don't know.